There's not a lot new in this editorial that you haven't seen activists, mostly on the left, but also on the right to some degree, talking about in recent years that the company is too big. You need to split off WhatsApp and Instagram. They should have never been allowed to purchase those. It's a company that doesn't care about privacy and therefore needs more competition, so it'll care about privacy. All these are very well-trodden arguments, but the fact that it's Chris Hughes has a bit of sort of a man bites dog quality. That even the founder thinks this is a troubled company. So I think that's where sort of the vibe comes from.
Yeah, and Tony, we had Senator Blumenthal on our air earlier, who was echoing a lot of this, saying people need more control and knowledge about their data, and that if they break up Facebook, it would create jobs and create competition and so forth. Are there arguments to be made for breaking it up in terms of antitrust?
Yeah, I think that's the big question here, because it's one thing to argue politically that a company like Facebook is too big and that it harms consumers, and it's another to take those allegations, turn them into an antitrust case, and presumably battle them out in a court of law where Facebook would fight tooth and nail to stop this sort of thing from happening. I think that case might be tough, at least in the eyes of antitrust experts. But, there are really two parts to Chris's op-ed here. The first is this theoretical case that Facebook needs to be more than just one company, and the second is this clarion call for regulation targeting privacy, the way the company handles speech, and this issue that maybe Mark Zuckerberg has become too powerful and needs to be held accountable. Right.
Jimmy, what would be some methods, I guess, to address these harms, and who should be the one addressing them? In other words, are consumers rebelling against this and asking for this or not? Or do they enjoy using the service? Are investors rebelling against Mark Zuckerberg's control or not because the shares are close to an all-time high? If we look to the people who should be most affected by the ills that are being described, they don't seem that up in arms about it.
No. People still like Facebook. There was a recent study saying you'd have to pay the average Facebook user $1,000 to give up Facebook for a year. So obviously, that's sort of the problem with the antitrust case, that there's still enormous consumer benefit. And under current antitrust doctrine, it would make any kind of antitrust case against Facebook very, very difficult. And then you have to ask the second question: what harm are you trying to fix? Because if it's a sort of a content harm that they need better control of their content. Moderating content at scale is a problem for Facebook. It's a problem for Instagram and WhatsApp, also a part of Facebook. Also a problem for Twitter, all social media. That's not a Facebook-only issue.
Sure, and it would be true even if those were individual platforms. Tony, if this were coming from a company like Snapchat, I think it would be more powerful. A smaller competitor, or Twitter, who says, we can't be what we could be in the marketplace because Facebook is anti-competitive. And we're actually not hearing that.
Yeah, it might be more powerful from them, but remember, it's not just Chris Hughes who's making the case for an antitrust case against Facebook. It's Democrats and Republicans who serve in Congress. It's lots of influential folks on the regulatory side of things in the U.S. and abroad who are asking the question, is this company too big? Should we do something to rein in Facebook and its aspirations in business? And we've started to see regulators operationalize this a little bit with early conversations in Congress about privacy and, holding Facebook accountable for the harmful content posted online. So, yes, it might be more interesting in the eyes of the FTC and the Justice Department and the Trump administration to hear this from corporate competitors, but the reality is that the concern is pretty widespread.